Here are all the changes I found between the graphic novel and the original edition of The Truth About Stacey. I won't be including smaller changes like rephrasing sentences. In the graphic novel, Stacey doesn't recap who the other club members are, just herself. Stacey's recap of Lane and her diabetes is moved from Chapter 2 to Chapter 1. The recap changes slightly because the graphic novel does it as a flashback with lots of dialogue. In the original book, it's a monologue. The discussion of when babies are born is removed, as is Mimi's brief visit during the club meeting. Chapter 1 ends right after they find the babysitter's agency flyer. In the original book, the chapter ends right before Christy calls Liz. In the book, Claudia spends more time insulting Liz and Michelle. In general, the graphic novel removes all insults. When Christy calls the babysitter's agency, she no longer says her address or her brother's name and age. Pete Black is introduced in the book, but not the graphic novel. Pete asks Stacey out on a date, so it makes sense that readers should know who he is ahead of time. I don't know why the graphic novel removed that scene. Chapter 3 takes place in the dining room and kitchen. In the book, it takes place in Stacey's bedroom. Dad is there the whole time in the graphic novel. In the book, he appears after Stacey loudly complains she almost failed 6th grade. The scene where Christy calls Stacey is removed. The graphic novel has a brief scene of the girls making kid kits, which wasn't in the book. Chapter 4 starts with an entry in the club notebook, which wasn't in the original book. The graphic novel doesn't mention Charlotte's dog, Carrot. As a result, it's a little weird when Stacey asks if Charlotte has any people friends. The price of candy at the candy store doubled from 25 cents to 50 cents. In Chapter 5, they complain they only got 7 jobs. In the original book, they got 9 jobs. Christy doesn't have a confrontation with Liz Lewis in Chapter 5. There's no discussion of where Christy's older brothers are. Jamie's party is mostly skipped over. They don't explain everything that happens at the party. In Chapter 6 of the book, Christy holds a triple emergency club meeting. That's eliminated, and they discuss things over in the bathroom. They also eliminate the discussion of whether or not the Babysitters Club agency sitters are any good. Stacey likes Thanksgiving break in the graphic novel, but in the book, she dislikes it. The graphic novel removes the scene where Stacey thinks her mom's pregnant. "You're pregnant?" she says so loudly that other people stop to stare. It's actually kind of funny. I wish they had kept that one. Several times, the book says Dr. Barnes is a holistic doctor, as opposed to a doctor. The graphic novel doesn't use the term holistic doctor as an insult. In fact, it never uses the word holistic. Chapter 7 in the graphic novel has a 3-page flashback of Stacey and Lane being best friends in New York. This was taken from pages 62 to 69 of Stacey's book. This is followed by a page of Mom talking about Lane. The kids at school say different things when turning down the chance to join the Babysitters Club. In the book, Stacey rejects one of them for being a lazy babysitter who only watches TV. The scene where Pete asks Stacey to the dance is much longer in the original book. She even asks him to join the Babysitters Club. The graphic novel removes 3 pages of the girls talking about their gifts for baby Lucy. When the girls meet Janet and Leslie, their questions are the same, but they're said in a slightly different order. The BSC is way more impressed in the graphic novel when they learn the older girls can stay out late. They all go, "Whoa!" The graphic novel removes the last 4 lines of the notebook entry at the start of Chapter 10. The graphic novel has a page of the girls answering phone calls. The book just gives a list of people who called. In the book, Mary Ann answers the phone when the Kellys call, then she hands the phone over to Christy. In the graphic novel, Christy is the one who answers the phone. The confrontation with Janet and Leslie is half as long in the graphic novel. They cut out the parts where the BSC members call them names, such as pigs and liars and dirty business women. The original book is clear that Janet and Leslie were sent to sabotage the BSC. The graphic novel makes it seem like the sabotage was their idea, not that they were ordered to do it. In the book, Chapter 11 starts with Christy making new posters for advertising. That scene is removed. It's replaced with a club notebook entry. Mary Ann babysits Jamie Newton in the graphic novel. In the book, it was Stacey. It's kind of a jerk move on Stacey's part to take 2 sitting jobs on the same day when the club is struggling to find jobs. In the book, Charlotte calls her homework dumb 3 times. In the graphic novel, all Charlotte says is, "No, it's easy." I personally think it's more realistic when angry kids are complaining about homework. Charlotte asks Stacey, "Why do you really sit?" In the book, Stacey answers the question. In the graphic novel, she doesn't. When Charlotte asks Stacey, "What about the money?" Stacey says, "Of course the money is nice." In the book, she says, "Of course the money is nice. I like to earn money." Greedy Stacey. In the book, chapter 12 starts with Stacey calling an emergency club meeting. They debate where it should be held. None of this is in the graphic novel. It's just them talking on the way home from school. They don't discuss the possibility of Jamie being kidnapped in the graphic novel. In the graphic novel, they tell Mrs. Newton about Jamie being in danger as soon as possible. In the book, the girls go home and ask their parents for advice on what to do first. Mrs. Newton calls Dr. Johansson Dr. Johansson. In the book, she calls her Peggy Johansson. In the book, Michelle incorrectly guesses Charlotte's favorite TV show is Mr. Rogers when it's The Cosby Show. In the graphic novel, she incorrectly guesses Charlotte's favorite game is Candyland when it's Scrabble. The question about Eleanor Marshall is removed. The question's about the fact that Eleanor pulls her ear when she's hungry. The graphic novel removes all discussion of visiting Dr. Werner in New York. Stacey orders a small Diet Coke and a small popcorn for $9.25. In the original book, she orders a tab and a small popcorn for $1.75. As a result of the price change, Lane makes up the difference in bills, not quarters. The montage of fun things they do in New York is changed. They see some new places. Stacey doesn't see Sam Thomas when going to visit Claudia. She sees him in the book. Chapter 14 of the book is split into 2 chapters in the graphic novel. It's split right when Christy and Mary Ann arrive, and then the book's chapter 15 becomes the epilogue. Chapter 15 of the graphic novel ends with 2 pages about the snowflake dance, which doesn't appear in the book. The phone conversation is much shorter in the graphic novel, which is fine by me, because there's about a page of Stacey and Lane going, "You hang up first." "No, you hang up." "Oh, I don't want to be the first one." "I don't want to be the first one either." I'm like, okay, please stop. Just hang up. I'm hanging up on both of you now. Anne Martin's dedication is changed from the first 3 kids she babysat to Claudia Werner. I didn't know you could change a book's dedication when there's a new edition. That feels a little unfair to the people who got the original dedication. Well, those are the bigger changes I noticed in Babysitter's Club graphic novel number 2, The Truth About Stacey. Obviously, the biggest change is that the second Babysitter's Club book was Claudia and the Phantom Phone Calls, not this one.